Hey guys, Banana Luck here. Welcome back to another Watcher Realms video. We're back on the test server today because we have two new units that we'd like to review. I probably would have seen them in the Halloween event intro where they are giving us a glimpse of the upcoming banners. And two new heroes are, I would say, gonna be quite good for Zerbus, which is the new Samurai boss that we got. So yeah, in this first video, we're just gonna talk about the main star of the show here, which is gonna be Ezareth, however you pronounce his name. So this is a third Cultist Lord, so it is in the same generation as Nastia, you could say. He looks freaking badass. He's like Valderon, but you know, I don't know, more demonic looking. I'm honestly surprised he's not like part chaotic at all, that he's a single faction. But I think it will make sense once you see all of his kit. Um, yeah, so without further ado, let's actually run through his skills. So first of all, stats-wise, we're looking at 20k HP, 5.4k attack. So it is low in this day and age when you compare with other fighters. Cost at 20, it is pretty high, which makes him already not so viable for content such as Arena. You're gonna need a cost gen unit no matter what. And with Villara in the picture these days, needing a cost gen unit is actually not a very good thing. And other than that, you have pretty standard stuff all around, so nothing much that we can really talk about there. I can also see his attack range is like Nurcha, 3x3 tower range. And yeah, that's it. So, skills. We'll take a look at his Lord skill first of all, just for you guys to catch a glimpse of what you can expect from him. So the usual 15% stats, the 30% extra damage to units with crowd control effects. His is pretty straightforward. Increases faction team members' damage by 25%. So it's a bit different from like Morrigan or like Demi. Demi is dependent on how many units the hero is attacking or have in their attack range. Whereas this guy, he just straight up increases it by 25%. And when the Lord is on the battlefield and an allied summon dies, increases all faction team members' damage by 5% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 3 times, which means in total you can get up to 40% damage whenever summons die. So with that in mind, it is really becoming pretty clear that this guy is gonna have summons as a very big part of his kit. Even if it's not in his kit, it's gonna involve summons one way or another. So that's the first thing. And if we just compare to the other units, so you can see Demi here increases that 5% for each enemy in the initial basic attack range. So up to only 35% increase. And then Morrigan is AoE damage increase. And Ezareth, probably the best bonus of all, straight up 25% and then an extra 15% when summons die. So that already tells you in terms of bonuses where he sits with the other units. And now the skills. So talent specializes in draining life force from the wake and converting it into dark spores. So what does dark spores do? Not much information at this point in time. Just that when he carries it, he grants immunity to himself to most debuffs. And it's pretty similar to this one. Sanctity on Anora, where she permanently just gains immunity to most buffs and debuffs. So in Ezareth's case, it's just immunity to debuffs, which is better in the sense because he's going to benefit from inspiration. And when deployed, he immediately goes into World Destroyer mode. What is this? We'll talk about it later. And he gains 2 stacks of Dark Spore. And first passive, 120%, basic attack, 120% AoE damage up to 8 enemy targets one time. Very straightforward. And then World Destroyer mode special attack inflicts vulnerability. So it's a 25% vulnerability and executes enemies with HP below 30%. So you realize one thing here is that this is not a chance to execute enemies. It's a straight up execute if, HP is below 30%. So it's slightly different from Uridin, much more similar to Vienna. But I'll say that the uptime on this is a lot crazier compared to Vienna, and you'll see why in a bit. And then the last passive here, Insatiable Maw, when carrying Duck Spores, increases attack and damage reduction by 20%. And when triggering World Devourer mode, deals 200% AoE damage up to 8 enemies around the target, and inflicts stun on them. How long is the stun? It's just 1 second. And then if the devoured target is an allied summon, restores 5% rage to its owners. And if the owner belongs to the Cursed Cult, restores an additional 10% rage. So I think you're starting to see where things are going with this. If it devours the summons, and it's from an ally, and they are the Cultist faction, you're just going to straight up get 15% rage back from the get-go. So you sort of see already some synergy there. But let's move on to the ultimate. So the ultimate, World Devourer mode, World Destroyer mode, you can see it's basically an in-grid ultimate where you switch back and forth. So what does World Destroyer mode do? It's a mode focused on combat, and if it's carrying at least 1 stack of Dark Spores, consumes 1 stack of it to deal 430% AoE damage up to 10 enemies in a large area ahead. So how large is this area? We'll have a showcase later on to take a look at it, obviously. But you guys get the point. Basically, when he's in World Destroyer mode, he's going to do this big ass attack every 5 seconds. And then World Devourer mode, a mode focused on recovery when Dark Spores is not at full stacks, devours 1 allied summon within the basic attack range or 1 enemy below HP below 50%. Bear in mind that ineffective against allied special summons, I'm going to guess Anora here, or elite and boss enemies, obviously. Same with the execution logic. And it restores the caster's HP by 35%, then gains 1 stack of Dark Spore. And after devouring an allied summon, grants 1 stack of Dark Spore, so it's going to be 1 stack on top of what you normally get, and takes 2 seconds to trigger again. And then after devouring an enemy, takes 10 seconds to trigger again. So you start to see where we're going with here. He really prefers to actually devour his ally summons, because even from here, he does it quicker, and the allies also get much more benefits from it. They get a 15% rage every time they actually, devour the Dark Spores. Alright, and then Awakenings here, when World Destroyer mode special attack is triggered, increases AoE damage by 15% for the hero and all allied mages on the field for 8 seconds. And then attack here, 300 attack, increases members AoE damage by 5%, pretty straightforward. A3, every 2 trigger of World Devourer mode Devour effect, grants an extra 1 stack of Dark Spore. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it already, but A3 is huge when it comes to devouring allied summons. Because every 2 trigger give 1 extra stack. It means that every time he devours a allied summon, he's just gonna straight up get 3 stacks right away, if I'm reading this correctly. And if let's say the ally has more than 1 summon, then it could potentially just restore the stacks from 0 to 5 with the A3 versus 0 to like maybe 3, for example, or 4. And then penetration, very straightforward for attack unit. And then A5, very straightforward as well. World Destroyer mode special attack just ignores 25% of magic resistance. So all around, pretty good awakenings. I think this is one of the rare times that we've actually been getting all 5. One of the rare times that all 5 awakenings are actually offense related in a certain sense. And we don't actually have any unyielding mechanism in him. He's just straight up damage and damage. So yeah, we're going to be doing a couple of testing on him, obviously, to see how he works. And then after that, we're also obviously going to showcase him in Zerbus. Another video, we're going to showcase the other unit, which is Verlis over here. But yeah, Let's move on to the other bits. Before we jump into a few of the tests that we're going to do for Ezareth, I just want to showcase some of the more unique interactions that I think you should be aware of before you actually hop into the game and, understand how he works. So we're going to showcase that in Gear Rate 118, and this is just to do mostly with the World Devourer mode and how he actually decides what to consume. Because right now it's saying that, when Dark Spores are not at full stack, he devours one allied summon in his basic attack range. But there's actually a unique interaction that I realized after I've, finished, looking at the other bits of the content. So let's get in and I'll show you what I mean. So what I'm gonna do is actually put Ezareth facing back. So there's nothing in his attack range. And instead, what I'm gonna put up here is gonna be Verlis. There we go. I use her ultimate, and I'm also gonna do Beatrix at the top, and we're gonna switch him to World Devourer mode, and let's see what happens when this summons expire. So right now you can see Beatrix summon has just expired, and we're left with the 3 summons from Verlis. And I feel like these are legendary flyers from GVG. They have been just lazy with the animations or whatnot. But look at that. So these summons after expiring, you can see this is slightly darker red, almost black. It means that the summons have made use of their full 17 attacks that they have, because my Verlis is at A3. And my Ezareth actually gets the soul back to him. So this is the only case where the summons will actually fly to Ezareth regardless of whether they are in his attack range or not. And you can see right here, Beatrix summons when they expired, they actually just expired. And now let's take a look at 2 other scenarios so you can see what happens if, we have summons in his range, because he's just going to devour them from the get-go. Let's head in. Okay, we're gonna have Ezareth facing forward here. Now we're gonna have the 2 summons here. See, instant kills. And if I switch to the Devourer mode and I cast Verlis ultimate, not gonna wait for it to expire. He's just gonna consume them all from the get-go. And because I have A3, every 2 consumptions he does, he gets 1 extra up. So that's why he got 5 stacks already. Now let's switch him back to the attacking mode. And I'll show you what he does with Beatrix. It's pretty much the same thing. There we go. And 1 more strike here. And if, let's say, I were to switch him here like this, you can see he consumes Beatrix ops right away as well. But this is very different when the ops are not in range, because Verlis summons actually exist indefinitely. They only go inactive after a while. So that's why it's so good with Ezareth, and it's much better than any other summoner you can pair him with, because he consumes them once they become inactive, regardless of where their range is. But besides that, if it's under normal circumstances, you can see that Ezareth consumes these stacks right away. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the only mechanic that I wanted to, show you guys. And you can see with A3, he actually gets the extra op from every 2 consumptions that he does. And obviously, with summons, he consumes it a lot faster. If you're going to consume a unit that's less than 50% health, it's going to be a 10-second instead of 2-second cooldown. And then next thing we want to take a look at is actually going to be Zerbus. Because for sure people will be wondering whether we can actually consume the Zerbus spawns with Ezareth's Devourer form. So let's answer that in a bit here. hit right in. And what we're going to do is we're only going to put Ezareth on one side here. And then we'll put down the healers. There we go. And yeah. Slow things down. We're gonna get to 50% very soon here for some of these units. You can see right there, he actually just consumed one of them because his stack went from 2 to 3. Let's see if he does another one. Oh, he won't be able to do another one until we kill some units here. Let's kill that. And we'll also get some stacks off. And let's change that. And let's see once again whether he actually consumes these units. So 3 stacks. And once he's at 50%, you can see he actually consumed 1 unit. The animation went off. And yeah. So that answers the question whether he can consume the Zerbus summons here. They are not considered elite or boss units, which is great. And for GVG, I think it's quite straightforward. We all know already by now that a lot of the GVG units are considered elites. I think the purple or rather the epic tier and above soldiers are all considered elite units. So yeah, that's the mechanism testing that I wanted to show off. I think it's pretty straightforward. One thing to really bear in mind here is that Verdis is paired very, very, very well with Ezareth compared to all the other summoners because when the summons expire, they just disappear for all of them. But for Ezareth and Verdis, because Verdis summons doesn't expire, and for some reason the summons will fly to Ezareth, just pairs with him very, very nicely. So yeah. So Ezareth being the Cultist Lord, of course we have to showcase him in Geared 124 as well. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. It's going to be stage 24. This is the team that we're going to run with. I think most of these awakenings are quite achievable. Yeah, and Ezareth is at A0. I would have preferred to put Zerbus under the Cultist faction. I think he works perfectly just fine in Cultist, but we ran out of slots there, and I can't put Zerbus below here because it seems like there's some weird interaction with his heals once he's not a Cultist here. So this is the team we're going to run with. We are going to use anti-heal. If you have a Velara or Nurcha, for example, it's going to make it way easier. You can even skip the anti-heal here and skip Cerberus entirely because you have more than enough damage to actually take this guys down. So yeah, let's head in without further ado and we'll show you how strong he is here. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is place Ezareth down, buff him with Beelzebub. I can switch immediately because we don't need him to do any execute here. Cerberus down, it's going to help clear out the first wave and also reduce the cost of the mages that we need at the initial bits. So just getting everyone down in time. Pop the ultimate. And then we'll pop the execute as well. And then we actually have Verlis down too. Once Verlis ultimate is up, I'm gonna pop it. That's gonna bring Ezareth to max stack. There we go. And then now we just wait for the next big wave, which is this guys to come in here. So I'm not gonna use anything just yet, just waiting. And we're gonna do Magdar last. And once these guys start walking in, I'm gonna cast the Forsaken Totem and cast all the damaging spells here. And every hit that he does here where he flies up over, it's gonna execute units if they're below a certain HP threshold. And let's pop the ultimate here on Vienna. Return to the Devourer mode. It's gonna consume souls again. ultimate. There we go. Once these guys are almost dead, we're gonna pop the Vienna, execute, kill off the entire wave, and then we'll switch Ezareth back to Devourer mode again. There we go, max stacks again. And yeah, now we do the same thing that we usually do in this 124 runs. We pop the Zerbus ultimate right when this unit start to walk in. And there we go. Oh, Zerbus took very long to die there actually. The ultimate. Go, and once the guy starts walking in, we can actually cast the put the gun down, and let's do Devourer mode again. Cast the Verlis ultimate, and see he's taking 2 stacks in, so that's good. It means that we have him on the summons getting devoured. You can see the wave is almost dead. Unfortunately, our Verlis died there. So that's the unfortunate bit for this run. We have these guys all almost dead. I pop the ultimate here. We get some execution. It's not the best run to be honest, because Verlis died. But you guys get the point. These two dudes, Verlis and Ezareth together, it basically cleans these waves up like it's nothing. Alright, now we're gonna get Ezareth consuming these stacks again. So if you see him consuming 2 stacks at a time, you know that we're consuming the right guys, which is the summons. And let's go ahead to finish this off. There we go. There we go. And that's done. A bit of a hiccup there, but I think it showcases it pretty well. Ezareth compared with Verlis just absolutely takes down a lot of the mobs when you time it right. Bear in mind this is both at A0, and stats wise you can see Ezareth at the top. Verlis not doing that much damage because I'm not really letting her summons do any damage. I'm just taking the summons in once they spawn. Vienna, Cerberus, Magda, I think that's quite standard as far as damage in 124 goes. So yeah, that's the showcase for 124 in case you guys were wondering, is this guy gonna be good in 124? Does it reduce the requirements in terms of heroes and awakenings? I think the answer to that is quite a straightforward yes. Yep, now let's move on to the other tests. Alright, next thing we're gonna test here is actually gonna be Arena. I know test server is not the best place to do that because we know for a fact that the mobs over here are a bit weaker. But nevertheless, we're still gonna test it out anyways, just to see the potential here. But just bear in mind that, you know, these units may not match up as well in the actual live server because the mobs there are a bit stronger. But hey, that's what we say about Erlang, but you know, he still remains one of the meta units in NTAwNjM right now. So that's that. And yeah, let's get into the testing. So this is the team that we're running. You can see Cerberus here. The reason why I use Zerbus here is I wanted to avoid using a cost generator, which just lowers the overall BP of the team. And yeah, just trying to increase that and also having an actual unit that does damage instead of just regenerating cost. I think that just is a lot more useful because I can still use Cerberus for the later stages even after he dies. So yeah, this is what we're running with A3 Beatrix, A3 Cerberus. I think that's fair and reasonable. A0 Ezareth, A1 Verlis just for the extra utility with a stance there. A3 Bozobolt, but I think A0 works just fine here, so you can just ignore that. Alright, so that's what we're running with. Let's get in without further ado. Okay. First unit we're gonna place down is gonna be Cerberus, obviously. He's gonna clear out the first wave just fine for us. There we go. And that's done. Now we move on to the second wave. And here's where we're gonna pop Cerberus ultimate in a bit. There we go. Over here, we're gonna wait for Cerberus to actually die before we place units down, even though we have cost ready. Because once he dies here, what's gonna happen is that the cost is gonna go down by 2 across the mages. I know this might affect auto reliability, but you know what? We're testing things anyway, so let's see how that works out in the real server when we actually get it there. Alright, so that's wave 3 sorted with Cerberus out mostly. Now we're gonna pop the ultimate on both of these guys, and that's just gonna help us to clear out this wave. And the wave at the back as well. There we go. And yeah, you can see we clear it before these guys move off. So that's a great start. And now we have that down. We're gonna pop Verlis ultimate next. And yeah, these guys are gonna come in and die. Do the 3 summons that she has here. There we go. A bit slow, but yeah, it's fine. And last bit of attack here, and those spirits are now expired. Now we wait for Ezareth to come in. He's gonna do his blitz. And then he's gonna do once more here, one more blitz. And then we're gonna move to the Devourer mode. You can see he just ate up Beatrix summons. Now we're gonna swap back and yeah, it's gonna do a finishing blow there. Very nicely paired up. Okay, that's done. One more wave here. I'm gonna pop the Verlis ultimate. Pop the ultimate here, finish that off. Not very well timed there. It could have been timed a bit better. Put Cerberus down here. Pop that ultimate there. Once we have that, we're gonna pop these 2 ultimates as well. And then let's pop Ezareth ultimate just to finish those guys off. There we go, very nicely done. Just swap over again. Last wave here. There we go. Not the best run. Our Verlis actually died there. But I think you guys get the point. Verlis has very good potential here, just from the fact that combined with Beatrix, both of them can actually hit the last waves. And the fact that both of them do summon synergizes with very well with Ezareth, who can actually finish things off pretty well. And it's a shame that his strike doesn't reach the very last tile. That's the only thing I'll comment on. But otherwise, I think there is actually something that can be worked around here. You can see damage-wise, Verlis doing a lot of work here. Ezareth obviously at the top because we're prioritizing him. So he's consuming their summons, and Zerbus just there to, tide us over till we get to the part where we deploy all our mages. So yeah, that's the arena bit. Now let's move on to the other testing. We're down to the final piece of content, and that's going to be Zerbus. Obviously, the focus of Ezareth and Verlis, because the other areas we pretty much already have units that are doing well there. So both of them were also teased when Zerbus first was released on the patch notes as upcoming heroes. So obviously, want to see how they will actually perform there. And to do this test, we do have quite a stacked lineup. I want to see if this team can actually bid or almost even come close to what Vanilla currently has on the 6x server. So he's hitting close to 74k on the Balrog form right now. And awakenings are all pretty high, so that's what we're going for here. The only low awakenings are those that do not actually offer any damage. So things like Carnelian, Cyrus, Eloin, Beelzebub, yeah. Additional awakenings don't really do anything, so yeah, I'm gonna go with this. And let's get into the fight without further ado. Alright. So first thing we're gonna do is to place down Ezareth and Valara, and what we're gonna do here is to actually use the two of them for Abyssal Favor. And since my Nerissa is A5, we're gonna get just that. And then now we're gonna put in Verlis, Nilian, Magda. Gonna do this, Cyrus, Beatrix, and let's keep all the ultimates on auto. So I know it may sound weird, but apparently when I asked Vanilla, he said that his 73k, 74k team was just fully auto. So he didn't like manual anything in any way. So let's see, because so far it's been working out amazing for me. My highest score with this team was actually from an auto fight. There we go. Almost 8k score before we ended the first round. And you can see on the left side, Ezareth is doing very well. He's almost one-shotting some of these waves because he gets that execute at 30%. And yeah, once units hit below that threshold, they basically get instant killed. And you can see the auto logic for him is quite straightforward. So like if he is, with any stacks, he won't switch, but once he reaches 0, he's going to consume everything in his path, and when he goes back to 5 stacks again, he switches into the destroyer mode. So looks like his auto is not too bad. So he probably will be decent in GVG. Like, you don't have to be too concerned as to how bad his auto will be. But it would just be another thing to time, especially from the offense point of view. Just make sure that he has no stacks before you do anything. Right. See, that was almost instantly cleared on the left side. And now we go into the rush phase. Valara ultimate up again. And ending this phase almost at 40k. And this is halfway mark almost. And this is where the waves get a bit tougher. But when you have everything at A5, it doesn't look that bad. There we go. Another evolution phase. Almost a 50k score here. Put a wood elf here to just help out Cyrus. And yeah, go into the evolution phase. This is probably the last evolution phase that we could get to. Probably 2 more waves of this. There we go. Go into the evolution mode. And we are definitely gonna break Winella's score, but this is cheating because it's test server. But there you go. 77k worth of damage. But bear in mind, this is more expensive of a team compared to his because you're gonna have to put Ezareth A5, Verlis A3 to actually get there. And this is not even halfway there of the Zerbus Matrix score that you can possibly get. Because we have physical and magical phase, and 320k is the total score. So divide by that 4, that's gonna give you 80k. And even then, you see, we're only at 77k. And no surprise here, Ezareth is obviously at the very, very top here with Valara, Verlis, Magda, Beatrix, and then yeah, the rest are just utility units. So obviously he's really great here. The team could be probably even more optimized to do even better. But 77k score is really like nothing to be too crazy about. And I think that's my gripe with the whole mode in particular, that, you know, no matter what you have, it's going to be still very far from the maximum score that we have. And I'm not sure what they're intending to do here. Will they actually change the mechanics so that the boss is more attainable? Because even at this level where we're one-shotting most of the waves, this is the highest score that we can actually get to. So yeah, that's the testing for Zerbus. Now let's move on to the other components, or rather to conclude the video, and yeah. Alright, so that's the video on Ezareth. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. So we've done a couple of testing, and Gearit 1, Arena, Zerbus, and I think those are the places that you'll really see him shine. I didn't really test GVG because I'm not into that these days, but from what I've heard from some of the fellow testers, it seems like he's doing amazingly well there as well. So yeah. Whether you should summon for him, I think that's a tough question because a lot of people are waiting for Valara as well. Because if you see in my Zerbus showcase earlier, Valara was also part of that mix. And this time around, we're getting Ezareth with Ardea. So there's a bit of a question mark whether you want to try for Ezareth or actually wait for Valara instead. But I think he's a very solid unit in the areas that he's been in. I'm actually most interested in him in terms of arena usage. I think it could unlock a new set of team that you could try with. We also have the banners for Verlis that's coming up together. I think that it's incredibly crucial to get the both of them together because they just sync so well together. And in terms of his awakenings, I think most of them are great. A5 is honestly the biggest one here, but you're not going to get to him at A5 unless you're a Mega Whale. A2 is also really good because instead of consuming all summons from Verlis, he just needs to consume 2 to get that extra stack. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Thanks for tuning in. If you have more questions about Ezareth, let me know down in the comment section below. Also, I am very disappointed that this guy doesn't have an intro video. Verlis actually has one, so I'm not sure what they were doing here. This guy looks freaking amazing, but yeah, they decided not to do a video. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.